Welcome back to Comic Universe, the only nerd-centric thing you need in your life. DPZ rolling solo once again, and here with another comic review. Another comic given to us by our channel's friend, Mount Vernon Kid. Chris, we know you're watching. Thank you very much for another contribution. And this time around, we're going into another indie comic by the name of La Muerte. Now, La Muerte comes from Coffin Comics, who are the same people who do Lady Death. Who I'm sure, even if you haven't read the comic, you probably know the character from the pinups. Or you've probably been to some naughty sites. Just saying, you know the character in some capacity. You've seen that character in some capacity. Well, this is a character from the same group. Now, La Muerte is about a woman by the name of Maria Diaz who's come home from the war in Afghanistan. And her family have her brother in particular has gotten in bad with a gangster by this crime lord by the name of Mama Z, who is this woman who believes in the Aztec gods and sacrifices people, stuff like that. And her gang wipes out her entire family and even nearly wipes her out, but something has kept her alive, and now she goes on a rampage. If this all sounds familiar, yeah, it's pretty much Punisher. This is Punisher through and through. This is pretty much the Punisher, more or less. This is essentially what we're looking at, people. Anyway, so what was I gonna say? But it's actually, if anything, I know it sounds a lot like the Punisher, but if anything, it actually reminded me more of the Crow, mostly because of the minor supernatural aspect to it. With Maria and the being she's now connected to by the name of Santa Muerte, who is this this patron saint of vengeance and death. And Maria goes about as now known as La Muerte. She goes about hunting down and killing the Mama Z and her cartel. She goes on a fucking rampage. This comic, once again, not for kids. Just throwing that out there. This is another comic a kid should not read. It's violent, there's swearing, and some racial slurs here and there. It's certainly something to behold. It is certainly a comic not for the faint of heart. And there are some pretty gruesome deaths in here, too. Some pretty violent moments here and there. I would say that this is, if you enjoy Punisher or something like The Crow, like I said, which, again, this feels more like The Crow with the supernatural element, and a woman who can seemingly can't die, it very to me felt like The Crow, which, again, that's just me, though. Now, the first volume is actually split up into two stories. The first half is centered around Maria and her vengeance and her war against Mama Z and her cartel. The other story centers around, is actually, if anything, the second half of the story feels more like a backdoor pilot for another character called Loco, who is another Punisher-like character, but he's actually fighting for the people trying to get into the country, like the immigrants who are being illegally trafficked into the country, and also trying to protect their rights from people who would kind of like prey on them on the border. Like I said, Loco's a cool character, but really you came here for La Muerte. And Loco it feels more like a backdoor pilot for a comic that I think he has. I think Loco has a comic over at Coffin Comics. I'm not 100% sure, but it does feel like a backdoor pilot for him. A lot of blood, a lot of violence. Definitely, if you enjoy, like I said, Punisher or something to that degree, it's really good. I will admit, though, that some of the fights do feel a little anticlimactic. Like, the comic itself kind of feels really rushed. And some of the lines made me go, alright, that was cheesy. I understand that, Coffin Comics makes no, obviously, if you've seen Lady Death and probably seen some of the pinups of this character, then you know what they're trying to really sell, much like with Zenescope in some of the cases. So yeah, some of the story is kind of rushed so they can get to the more picture over story, shall we say. It's more picture over story in some cases. But yeah, the final battle between La Muerte and Mama Z, it's, Mama Z's wearing, like, this whole two-piece bikini, underwear, lingerie kind of thing, and I'm like, alright, I get it, you know, I know what you guys are really trying to sell here, but the fight's really short and really anticlimactic, and sometimes the story just kind of skips over certain things. It's not a bad comic per se, but if you've read Punisher or watched The Crow, then you've probably already seen La Muerte. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying this is bad at all. The character of Maria Diaz, La Muerte herself, is pretty cool, and I like her and if anything, when I was reading this comic, I was kind of imagining Michelle Rodriguez's voice for Maria Diaz. She just, like, Michelle Rodriguez's voice just kind of, like, clicked in my head for this character, honestly. And also with Danny Trejo as her homeless, I call it, like, he has a name, it was hard for me to pronounce, so I called him Homeless Alfred. Yeah, I called him Homeless Alfred, and I kind of imagined Danny Trejo's voice saying those lines, because that's kind of what he is. He helped Maria, you know, he rescued her and brought her back to health, and was kind of like her caretaker in a way for a while. So yeah. Like I said, this is for I don't know if this comic, like I said, this comic is not for everyone, but if you are a fan of, like, some uber violence, like Punisher and The Crow, then I'd say give this a look. You know, at least give the first volume a shot, and see what you think of it. The artwork's not bad, the story's alright, but it's nothing too explosive out of the gate. At least that's my opinion. So, yeah, if you've read La Muerte, just comment below, let us know here at Comic Universe what you think of it, and if you're new here, remember to Hulk smash that like button, and like and subscribe to our channel to be part of the Earth's Mightiest subscribers. And like I said, we do have our Smash Week giveaway is still going strong, so, you know, follow that, you know, keep following up with that. So, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and we will see you once again right here in the YOUniverse.